Good evening, everyone. Esteemed Director, Professor Rajiv Kumra, Chief Guest of the Day, Mr. Sumit Khandelwal, respected deans, faculty members, staff, and dear students, a very warm welcome to today's session of the CXO Talk Series 2025. I am Arunima KV, Assistant Professor in the area of HROB and Communications, and also the Chairperson of Alumni Relations Committee here at TAPME. The CXO Talk Series has always been one of TAPME's signature initiatives to connect students with business leaders and C-suite executives. Over the years, this platform was hosted by prominent leaders, both alumni and non-alumni CXOs, creating a rich blend of perspectives from across industries. The series had paused during pandemic years, and with immense pride, we have now restarted this powerful tradition. To formally begin with the event, I would like to invite to the stage Mr. Sumit Khandelwal, our chief guest and speaker for the day, and Professor Gururaj Kidiur, Dean Academics. Please. As you all know, the title of today's talk, From Founder to Leader, beautifully resonates with our speaker's journey. It reflects how entrepreneurial vision, when combined with leadership, can create lasting impact. This event also aligns perfectly with the spirit of Manipal Academy of Higher Education, which has declared 2025 as the Year of Excellence in Industry Academia Collaborations. Lighting of the lamp is a cherished tradition, symbolizing the dispelling of darkness and the ushering in of knowledge and inspiration. I now request Mr. Sumit Khandelwal and Professor Gururaj Kidiur to kindly do the honors. It would be also great if two of our students could also join them, marking the official inauguration of today's talk. Thank you, Professor Kidiur, and thank you, Mr. Sumit and students, for gracing this tradition. With the lamp lighting, we symbolically ignite today's session. We are truly honored to welcome back one of our very own alumnus, Mr. Sumit Khandelwal. He belongs to TAPME's 2007-9 batch, specializing in marketing and finance. From walking into this campus as a student with dreams, he is walking in today as a leader, innovator, and a proud alumnus. Today we will be listening to the lived experiences of how ideas transform into enterprises and how entrepreneurs evolve into leaders. The bond between a teacher and a student is truly special, and it's a privilege to see it in full circle today. It's my pleasure to invite Professor Gururaj Kidiur, our Dean Academics, to introduce our esteemed speaker, who was once a student. Over to you, sir.
A very good afternoon to you all. It's my pleasure to be introducing Sumit Khandelwal, batch of 2007 and 2009. His was the first batch which graduated from this new campus. So currently, Sumit is the co-founder and CEO of XOXODAY, a global SaaS platform which has revolutionized how organizations approach digital rewards, recognition, benefits, incentives, and engagement solutions. Under his astute leadership, his company has grown significantly, empowering over 1,200 companies worldwide with products such as M+ for employee engagement, Compass for channel incentives, and Plum for e-benefits, and a comprehensive rewards marketplace. XOXODAY, which began its journey in 2012 with Sumit and Manoj Agarwal, has expanded its reach to over 175 countries and is trusted by more than 5,000 global enterprises, transforming the landscape of loyalty, rewards, and incentives. Before co-founding XOXODAY, Sumit gained diverse and invaluable experience across various sectors, including FMCG, retail, and technology. He held significant roles such as product manager for Santur at Wipro Consumer Care, worked with Metro Cash and Carry in private labels, and served as a software engineer at Hexaware Technologies. This rich background has enabled him to build extensive expertise in critical areas such as SaaS sales, solution selling, brand management, channel sales, product management, and digital marketing. Mr. Khandelwal is widely recognized for his empathetic leadership style, remarkable entrepreneurial drive, and exceptional ability to scale businesses. His strategic vision, combined with compassion, has not only propelled XOXODAY into the Financial Times Asia Pacific High Growth Companies list, but also established him as an admired mentor within the HR tech and SaaS ecosystem. The company today has 500 employees, and he tells me many of them are IITs and IIMs, raised 100 million capital from private equity, and is on its path to listing in 2 years. He is instrumental in transforming how businesses engage, motivate, and retain employees, channel partners, and customers through loyalty, rewards, and incentive solutions. Most recently, in 2024, his company unified its rewards, loyalty, payouts, and incentive solutions into a single AI-powered suite, making engagement across all touchpoints seamless. Wow. It's a pleasure having you here, Sumit. Thank you very much for being here, and thank you very much for this opportunity to introduce him.
I could use this as well. Professor, I could use this as well. Should we? No, they are video shooting. Okay, sure. Check. Check. Am I audible? Yeah. Okay. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. First and foremost, thank you, everyone. Thanks, Professor. Thanks, Tapney, for inviting me. It's indeed a pleasure to be here. And I think if I have to look back into the whole journey which I had, I still believe a lot of what I have become has happened because of spending 2 years of great time in Tapney. And sitting back when I was hearing that from Professor Kidyur, meeting Professor Raghu, I think it's also an emotional moment at times, because some of these things are something which you always aspire that it happens one day. So truly grateful for that, sir, for this to happen. What I thought, at least in the next, I still feel, I think I remember when I first took a mic and had to speak in college, and that was mandatory done. I used to say, what? I have to go and speak in the stage. Trust me, it still remains. But I think one of the things which you learn is that today when I'm doing this session, what I would really want to do is, I have a few slides. I don't want to spend a lot of time on the slides, but try to make it a place where leave aside the whole stuff which I could do as a narrative, but spend more time to understand and help you with what you guys are doing. The place where I'll start for is just to kind of give you a perspective about my journey, because it might help each of you guys to relate to your life, your personal life as well. And then also give you a view that what I have done, where I have come in, is something which each of you guys can also evolve. One of the things which I also covered in the discussion I had previously was, I obviously got selected into a couple of colleges as well. And obviously in similar grades, the reason which I chose Tapney was, I think at that time the mission vision had entrepreneurship as a part of the whole stuff. And during my Tapney days, I was one of those guys who used to run after building multiple business plans, meeting people to do that. And that obviously has helped me shape over there. Quickly, beyond the background which Professor gave about me, I'm from a business family. I'm from Jamshedpur, started my career with an engineering background. I hated engineering, and I think I did that because I had to mug up and kind of just through, and obviously did well in my engineering exams, and then joined a software job. And when I joined the software company, which was XOXODAY Technologies, I think one of the things which I want is that a lot of this can really, obviously we'll publish a bit, but I would try to be thoughtful about it. But in XOXODAY, I chose a job which was non-coding. Now, because I didn't want to do coding, I always wanted to do business. So I got a job, and I took a job which was more about quality. And that's like, what are you doing? Why are you taking quality? Because I thought that I want to be in a place where I'm able to understand a bit of nuances of the business. So that's what I did over there. Spent 2 years in XOXODAY. Every day when I used to go to office, I really used to hate what am I doing over there, because I used to just look at the laptop and see what's happening. Never to realize that I will run a software business later. So life teaches you the full karma, right? So finally came in, did my MBA at Tapney, and then got into a real sales. And I think each of the facets of my life would really help you understand what was helpful, right? I joined Wipro Consumer Care, which is an pure, like, you would realize that why did I did my MBA? Because I was thrown into a market which was UP, where Santur doesn't sell. And I was told to go and sell at least one box of soap in a market where you are not buying one soap as well. And I used to say every day when I used to go in the market saying, hey, why am I doing this? Why did I do this as a career? But that also helped. And I think some of these while you hate all of these, you are pushed to the corner to really work harder on it. So I was told to go sell over there. And I went into a shop, and just give you an example of my life over there. I went to a shop, and it was getting over, because to me, my boss said that you have to be in the market at 9 a.m. and do the first call at 9 a.m. I went to the shop and said, sir, please, aap sabun le lo. And obviously used to think that I am coming from MBA college, right? So they will respect me. He took the soap and thrown out of it. And then I was saying, sir, I've done, studied, etc., etc. So, but what it taught me over there was understanding that, hey, while you are what you are, it doesn't impact, because in the shop, the owner is the person who decides. Your customer are the ones who really decide your value. Fast forward, I think that's something which has also helped me a lot, because today when I reach out to a customer, I don't say sell this, but I say that, hey, what are I trying to solve for your life, right? It also helped me understand that you cannot keep pushing stuff beyond a point. Fast forward, I after my whole sales journey, I luckily got into a brand, and I was lucky to work with a very smart chief marketing officer of my company, who came into me and said, hey Sumit, I want to spend or target ads in Andhra. Andhra is the biggest market for us, and in Andhra, and I want to target to the users who are not buying soap. And to me it was like, how do I know that? But then that day he guided me about how you use data to figure out that there's a community of people in a specific district which buys soap from this shop, which is not buying from us, right? Now that precision, I used to always think marketing is all about just doing ads, right? And it's the glamour thing, just go make an ad, feel cool about it, right? But that day is where I learned the whole maths, that marketing is more maths than really about building those creative, building those ads. He told me, and I think I will tell you that was like the aha moment for me in marketing, that everything which you speak, every ad which you make, every creative you write is backed with tons of numbers over there. When I look at that to me, and today when my, let's say, a marketing head comes to me and he speaks saying, okay, fine, let's do this creative because of this, I'm now equipped to say that, hey, look at maths, look at analytics, look at using that in your life. Again, to give you a perspective, all of these, right, I hated it at that time. It's helped me a lot. Last bit on my Wipro story, and I think we all are told and we are all taught, right? I think at least when I was growing up, it was told that, hey, you nearly did not be hard-working guy, you have to be smart-working. I was pushed to learn that you have to be hard-working. And my thought around it is that I think everybody is now becoming smart workers, right? So it makes sense to be hard worker, because that can be a differentiator. I remember my Wipro days where my marketing manager, who was my immediate boss, used to make me work all over the weekend for a deck for the board members next day. And I used to curse my life. Only to realize that today when I started my company, it really helped me, because it helped me learn that if there's a deadline, if there's a work to be done, you have to really make sure that it's done. So if you look at it, what I'm trying to also give you a flavor is, there are a lot of stuff which will keep coming to your life. You will never understand that what is that which will help you groom to become what you are. You would also want to understand that there's a lot of stuff which you have to keep embracing in. Professor did mention that I was also the batch which was in both the campuses, right? I used to hate it at that time, right? I was staying in Baliga Hotel. We spent some time in old campus, some in new campus. But it was really helpful. Why? Because we learned. Adaptability is the most important thing for us. Unless we are adaptable, we can just have that, okay, I am hooked to this. This is my equilibrium. This is my inertia. Those really doesn't help, because the world out there would keep changing. I can be a great enterprise today, but tomorrow a change in policy happens. With the way the AI is happening, tomorrow my job or my business can be nowhere. But it's at that time how well you are adapting to the situation is what would really help. And those are those learnings which is not taught, unfortunately, in the books. But you have to start understanding that in college, the way we get learned, a lot of stuff which is beyond books, which is being taught to us. I personally was not a great sports guy, but I was pushed to be a part of a team, right? I think each of us are in a group, and each of the groups, I'm sure each of you know that in a group there are some guys who really work hard, some are free riders, right? All of us know that, and I think that's a part of it. Now, in that is what today is in the organization as well. I know in the organization, my organization, there are 20% people who are really free riders, right? But getting the best out of that is the most important part, because you cannot have all the best people in a group. Because if they're all best people in the group, that group will remain very short term, because the smartest guy always finds something better. So the equilibrium is getting formed because there are some smart guys, there are some not smart guys, there are some guys who are not doing. And that's something which is again a great learning for you. Is it something which is taught to you as a subject? No, but that's something which you learn over it, right? So some of these are critical things. After my Wipro days, I always had that kida ki I have to do something for my own, I want to do something of my own. Then what I did is I joined Metro, and while I was at Metro Cash and Carry, I started thinking of doing something which was in the e-waste industry, right? And I always had that belief that e-waste would be a great thing, recycling would be a great thing. And I started a company called as Recycle Trade India. The idea was that recycling would be big, e-waste recycling is big. And if I open a website, things will start happening. And that was something which I said, okay, fine, tomorrow I've created a website, people have started using it, and the world will change. Only to realize that I created a website, nobody was coming in. And it failed miserably. Now, that failure obviously helped me with few learnings, which has helped me as we kept growing, right? A lot of us look at entrepreneurship and we say that we can do two things together. It doesn't happen. It failed because I couldn't find a co-founder. It failed because I was not full-time into it. I think not all of these things happen that you can actually not balance like Ajay Devgan in two bikes, right? It's very rare. So I failed miserably over there, only to realize that when I do the entrepreneurship next time, I will go full on and I will try to give everything which I have over there. And that's when I kind of got into this whole company, which is XOXODAY. This company has evolved in the last, I would say in the last 12, 13 years. We spent the first 5 years to understand and build what we have to do. What I mean by that is that each of us think that, okay, fine, we have a business idea and we build on it. Now, in a corporate setup, people have really tried and you have a business model in place. But when you are doing an entrepreneurship, it's all about knowing that there's nothing known in that subject, right? So what it means is that it's like you just see a mountain and you start saying, okay, fine, I'll find a way. And something might happen over there. Actually, that's the journey, right? The only thing which keeps driving you is the passion and the fire which you have in it, because there's nobody else giving you the lights. That's one other important part of it, because if you look at the journey of XOXODAY as well, we started with a company which was around group gifting, company called as Gift Zozo, moved to become a corporate gifting company, moved to become an experience gifting company, moved to become an experiences business, moved to become a company which was offering experience for individual consumption, to become a rewards, incentives and loyalty company, right? Now, if you look at it in the whole perspective, in the 13 years of journey, today everybody thinks, okay, fine, this is great. But there are so many occasions when I need not know what am I doing in my life. You had so many occasions where you are far behind your peers. You had so many occasions when you thought, I was doing great in my career, why did I choose this for myself, right? And you always thought that what am I really doing which will help the company succeed. It's important that I think one of the key things as managers, as leaders, we really need to do is to have that belief in yourself. That belief in yourself doesn't mean that you really just start saying that I know it all. It's also about getting those validations right. It's also about being thoughtful that there's a time frame in which we take a decision. Only thing which helped us change or take those pivots, every of these changes is a pivot, was we kept going back to the drawing board and started thinking that, is this the journey which we wanted to achieve in our career? Is this what will feel me excited about? Is this where the business would really be successful? As leaders, what you also tend to do is that today, when you start building businesses, you start believing that the world will be exciting, people will want to buy everything which you have built, but nobody changes, nobody looks at that. You say that, I have a business plan and that business plan would really be the ones which everybody is looking for. It's not there. Every businesses will have to keep adapting, right? Today as we speak, we are in the era where it's all AI. And that AI era will change every other businesses. Sitting over here, when you start thinking of it, I think any and every role will be questioned. The only thing which would help each of us would be what we learn and what we really are used to, which is about being adaptable, which is about being disciplined, which is about being hardworking, etc. Now, a couple of things which I have also covered, right? And this is important for all of us to understand, right? I think an entrepreneurship journey also brings in a lot of firsts to you. I never knew all of these things myself. But what you do is that, I remember the day when I looked at first hire. I called for I asked someone, first I opened a place where I said people apply for a job. 20, 30 days, nobody applied. We hired someone. Person came in and said, there is no board for your company, so I might not join. He left. But those are stuff which you know, that time you start thinking that, okay, this is also important. For you, that's like the last thing you want to do is to put a board for you. But entrepreneurship also helps you know a lot of firsts in your life, right? I never knew about the first board meeting. I never knew that the board meeting is so critical. I never knew that the director resolutions are so important for the businesses, right? I never knew that you would have board members who would question you about why are you doing a business, right? But that is something which would be the most important things for you. So what I'm trying to build on this piece is that look at finding those early wins. Look at the first which will keep happening in your life. Pick up those learnings for yourself. Be it the first customer you got, the first employee you hired, the first investor you met, right? Incidentally, one of the things which also important about the investor is we got our first investor by what? I have a habit of meeting people and also trying to build relationship with them. That's a habit which I learned in the way that I always believe that if you build network, it would help you in life somewhere. And that's something which is a skill for me. So I met someone who was a ex-CEO for Unilever, Mr. Kshatriya is no more. And I was interacting with him and then more as a mentor, and then I said that I'm doing a business where I'm doing something which is an experience gift. And there was no reason for me. The reason I spoke to him about this was that I wanted to validate my idea. To the instance, I said that, Sumit, I want to invest in a business which is into experience gifting because he had looked at a business similar to this in Singapore. Now, that's how it happens. So what I am trying to also get you over there is building relationships, speaking up is very important for us. That led me to get my first investment, which helped us the company, right? So Mr. Kshatriya is no more, but one of the things which I feel proud of is I gave 80x return to him in the period of 8 years. So that's something which you feel good about, right? Now, I also feel that money I could have put myself in the business because secondaries are easier for investors than to us, right? So, but that first investor, it happened through just a basic talk, right? I remember the first GST notice it came to me. I was like breathless. What should I do? I think I started looking at it that saying, have I done something wrong in my life? Why is the department people calling me? They asked me to sit in the office for a while. And then I said, okay, sir. And then I started saying to him like something very basic, right? I said, sir, I'm a very well-educated person. I will do right things. But, and then also get afraid because imagine that he's like a superintendent. And then you read in newspaper that this person has been caught for this, and he's saying some notices, right? Every businesses also have a lot of gray. And I think if you are doing business in India, you have to get used to it, right? So he called me and then he said, because of this, you really are not doing this, and hence there's a tax notice which is of this. And then I said, my business will become bankrupt if I have to do that. Now that is when again your whole reading habit helps you. The reading habit helped me understand that this is just a process. This is where they would do that, and then there's a process to it, and then this will happen, and that will happen, and this will happen. The only thing which helps you in that is that two things. One, be very, very good in terms of reading stuff. You'll have to go back to your drawing board. You never learned that. Yeah? MBA teachers never teaches you that you'll get a text notice, right? And that you have to fight out. But it taught me that, okay, fine, read through that, go back to your drawing board, figure out, read about it online, meet people, and then find out a solution to it. So all of these first will happen, right? Your first employee hire is not easy. The first investors are not easy. The first tax notice is not easy. your annual filing, right? And you started a business, and your annual filing is also what is to come to you, right? But this annual filing becomes so critical, and then looking at about the town hall, right? I was speaking to a group of people. I think there was a HR talk, and I said that I hated HR subject. And then I said the statement to the team over there that HR roles are the most close role to a CEO's role. Why? Because they hire the best team. They have to make sure that the team performs well, and they have to make sure that they are able to also remove people if it's not working. And that's largely the role which a CEO does. He has to make sure that the best teams are actually part of and they are able to deliver the best at the workplace. So all of these, when I look at it in the hindsight, goes back towards 3 key aspects. One, be very, very aware. Be very, very aware of things which are there. Second, find out more. I think this whole habit about knowing more, trying to learn every day is something which is very, very crucial. And third is that there are a lot of people who are ready to help, right? I think one of the things which I also believed a lot more is about finding the right mentors at different stages, right? So every year I try to find a mentor who really looks at me to say that, because today I am able to look at the world from where I am. I run a company of 500 employees, but imagine tomorrow I have to run a company of 5,000 employees. So what I have learned is very myopic. And I am not one of those guys, and each of us are not the guys who have really been born to build a company which is 50,000 employees. Everybody has to go through. So you can only learn that from someone who has seen the world from that angle. So the only way you could do that is that you can work with someone who is able to guide you on that journey, that okay, fine, the world changes from here to that level. And that can happen by someone who has gone through the journey. So that's another big lesson which I've learned, that find people, find mentors who can help you in the whole journey as well. I think a big lesson which I has learned, some people ask me that leaving the job is a tough thing. I think that's the easiest thing to do. And because people, all of us are saying, hey, we need a job. I think the easiest thing, I think some of the best guys, I think if there's some people who can take that risk, the best thing to do is to leave the job. Today, when in the hindsight, when I look at that, I remember I was doing well in my career when I left my job. And when I left my job, one of my roommates said, and he said, Sumit, you have left the job. And he made sure that I drank all night, saying, okay, fine, Sumit, you have achieved great in your life. And then I felt, okay, fine, I've left. I went home. My grandfather told to my dad, and he actually got an astrologer saying, कि इसका हाथ देखो क्या हो गया. So I said, why, what happened? But I said, no, I have decided I have to leave my job. And today when I look at it, I think the risks is very simple over there, because what you are doing, if you have done a good MBA, you will always get a job, and the job is the easiest thing to do. What is happening now is, I think that the more you keep growing, the risk and stake become higher. Today when I look at it, it's not about me. If I don't get a pay for a month, it's fine. But I have to look at this 500 people, their family, there's like 2,000 people. That's riskier. It's about every decision is impacting so many lives. I think, so the more you start looking at bold goals, and that's very important, because today when I start, let's say if I've looked at my company in year 1, what's the target which I should have? Nobody is asking me, but I have to define a target. So taking those bold goals, having those audacious goals, having those big dreams is very critical. If I have to look at today, obviously there's a board which defines the path for the company, which is still relatively easier. But I might always say that I will go at 20%. But if I have a vision to become a X size company, can I take those audacious goals? And that's something which defines a great leader. A great leader looks at goals which are really, really big. They don't look at smaller visions. They don't have a small dream to have. And that's something which is very important. Second, I think the risk will keep compounding. I did cover over there. And the last one is that while I might have big goals, if I'm not cautious about it, I cannot be the guy that, okay, fine, I've made a lot of myself and I'm so satisfied over there, because in today's era, the world is disrupting you every day. And I don't want to quote these old quotations of Kotak's of the world or the Xerox of the world. What you have to also be thoughtful about is that there are smarter guys coming in every day. And now there's no more smarter guys, but there are smarter AI which is coming in. Trust me, the world will be a different world in next 5 years. It will be a world where each of us would find it tough to maintain what we want to achieve because everything would be done by AI. Now, does it become difficult for us? No. The only thing which you have to do is to make sure that you are a part of the whole journey. And that's something which is, as great leaders, I have to start sharing in. Today, if I make sure that in all my meetings, you have to really think about AI as a part of any review sessions which happen. Every company, every team has a guy who is running AI as a project internally. And that's how we have to really think, because as leader, I cannot just look at tomorrow. I cannot just look at tomorrow's revenue or tomorrow's happening. I have to look at from a 3 years or a 5 years horizon. Something which sticks around for you in your life is those building blocks, and I did speak about it. A lot of what you do is based on what you have been as an individual. If you have not built up those building blocks, which could be around integrity, having a trust in people, I spoke about hard work and discipline. I think all of these, you can just say, okay, fine, you'll be lucky in one place, but you will fall flat. For me as a leader, and some people might have different stuff, but to me, whatever I'm speaking is the ones which I believe as leader has helped me groom. And finally, a lot of belief and trust on two things. One, Almighty. I think some people believe, some don't. It's fine. And second, you also have to be lucky. I remember I told about my first investment, which was an angel. For the next 6 years, we did not raise a lot of capital. We had the best brains. We did not raise capital. I was questioned every day. My employees used to question me, Sumit, we are the right team. We are doing right things. We are not able to raise capital. What's the problem? Now, that's disheartening because as leaders, you're facing the town hall, right? I'm doing a town hall and people ask me questions. Sumit, when will you raise capital? Now, finally, capital is not a great thing. Well, if the business is working fine, don't need to raise capital. But it was the cool thing to happen, right? I am working in a company which has raised so much capital, etc., etc. Now, we also had to get into matters. We saw enough dejections. I remember, I think one of the things which I and my co-founder used to do is every year, 3 months only about investment, making a deck, making an Excel, making the business plan, going back to them, every day coming back, rejection. But every rejection obviously taught us with something. Today, when we raised our biggest round, I think we raised the Series A round, which was upwards of $40 million, gave exit to it was the largest raise which probably happened in the SaaS industry at that time. Now, again, the only reason it happened was a lot of failure. And I think there are a lot of times as leaders, one of the things you have to also start using to it is at a leadership role, it's a very lonely place. There's nobody with whom you can, so when I'm facing a town hall, I cannot cry in front of them. I have to always say, team, we are there. You can always go back and then cry on that, saying, hey, I have failed last time in the fundraise, etc. But that's something which has to be there. That however you're struggling, you always have to be showing confidence to your team, because it's the team which would really start understanding the body language of the leader. If the team start believing that the leader has already failed, it would be very tough for them to really revive. I think that has been very, very crucial. The worst time, I remember one of the things, and again, giving instances because that would help you relate better. COVID hit us. We had hardly, let's say, 1 month's salary in the bank account. And we knew this was like 5-6 months. Now, what would have done? I think it was tough, because you have to make sure that you have to sail through the next 6 months. It was tough to raise capital at that time. The only thing what we did was, we always, and we have as a company, we have always done is that we have always been true to people. So within the co-founders, we decided that we'll go and speak up to the team and speak up to them and say, hey, for the next 6 months, we want to do a delayed salary. We never cut the salary. We said that we'll do a delayed salary. Everybody clapped that meeting. And to me, I still get goosebumps when I hear about it. If somebody comes to say, and I want to reduce the salary by 50% for the next 3-6 months, you might say, what's happening? Why are you doing this, etc. But to me, I was shocked when everybody said, hey, it's a great thing. We want to give that opportunity. And that to me is what you build as a team. I think that team is all about building that trust. The other person is respecting you, that, okay, you've been true to me. You're not removing 50% people, but rather saying, we are going through a rough time. Be very open, be very bold to say that, and speak right. Don't really put something in gray, because people don't want to be in gray. We spoke about it. Fast forward, COVID was one of the best times for us. I think we also grew threefold time in COVID. And then we paid back everything which was due for the company. That can only happen when you are able to always be true. Don't hide. Don't look at shortcuts, because these are very short-lived. And that's something which should be a part of the way you have been brought up, right? Again, the whole idea of smart work versus hard work. I think hard work is a different thing. People might say it's not good, but it's important as well. One of the things which I still believe, a corporate world versus an entrepreneur, I think the big gap which also happens is, in a corporate world, you join at a certain stature, and then you keep growing over there. And hence, because you join at a certain stature and you keep growing, you miss out on some stuff which is about humility and keeping ego aside. I think great leaders, and the great leaders are the ones who really believe that as humble you can be is the best thing to be. Because you have to be in a scenario that today, when your stature is removed, you are still able to stand tall and face people. Because you don't know what's the world looking for. And that's something which is very important. If you look at, and I'm sure each of us have looked at it, that there are a lot of stories about great leaders. The way they wear, the way they carry themselves is very, very simple. It's not about that, okay, fine, I have achieved great things in my life, which means I have to also always go on a Mercedes and then always remain a 7-star and also not meet people, and I cannot drink normal water. That's not the way. I think great leaders are all about being very humble, being grounded. And that's what is really defines the character of a leader. Balancing is something which you are, I think in India we generally are used to balancing, right? So we are generally used to balancing that, okay, fine, I also do marketing and finance because I thought I'll balance it. Honestly, I think, because that's the way you are meant to be. India is a risk-averse society. अगर नौकरी नहीं होगा तो क्या होगा, मतलब I think that's the part, and I think everybody is looking at. Morning I met somebody who was in the way saying कि sir आप session ना placement कैसे होगा बता दो. So I said okay fine, I'll cover that. And that's right also, because as I travel, I think India is a place which, India as a country is also evolving. We don't have the right way to respect failure. If you don't achieve something in your life, you are failure, right? And that's where a lot is to do with also about making sure that we kind of keep balancing, right? So I took physics, chemistry, maths, and also a bio. And then here, if I don't get doctorate, then I engineer तो बन ही जाऊँगा. And then marketing plus finance की यार, मतलब try करेंगे finance मिल जाए तो marketing कर लेंगे तो but helped me because I learned general management in that sense. And I think overall in our life as well, right, there's always a balancing. But as leaders, it's very important to be a long-term versus a short-term too. Because you cannot keep speaking about strategy when tomorrow the customer is at fire. And that's something which is not easy, because when you get a great job or when you do a great job, you can always say, let me define strategy, 3 years vision, mission. But you're missing on the But a great leader has to really be able to think through that. I am looking at a long-term, taking decisions which are short-term. And that is very important for you on a day-to-day basis, because if I am not changing the DNA of the company for AI adoption, but also not changing my business way, I think those are the balancing which you have to really do, and that's something which you have to build up as a part of your DNA regularly. Second, just because I work hard, I cannot keep people working hard, right? I think there are the Gen Zs of the world to whom if I say that keep working for like 12 hours, I cannot keep pushing. I think that is an adaptability which I have to do for myself. That the new generations are really smarter in some aspects to you, and you cannot push them beyond a level, because you cannot want everybody to be similar as you. I think there are a lot of people who are smarter than you. You have to start respecting you, because the more you push them. I remember we had the first 2-3 smart guys, ISB guys in the first year of operation. They came in 3 months, they left. And the reason they left was saying you're like micromanaging me. And I said, yeah, well, obviously I have limited money. I want you to do everything. So please do this. And then he said, you hired me, then why are you telling me this? I said, because I think this is the right thing to do. So that pushing to a certain level helps. And as leaders, embracing that not everybody will follow what you want to do is something which is very critical for you as well. Last but not the least is the habit of speaking, right? All of us like to speak. And I think in this today's era, there are hardly a few people who want to do so. You brought me over here, I'm speaking. I think a lot to do is listening is very important. Some smartest leaders, and I'm also trying to learn that more, is something which I try and I'm not still able to do, is that you start a meeting with, you don't speak for the first 30 minutes. That's not easy, because as a leader you always think that I am the smartest in the place, right? So I have to speak. So, but listening is a great skill, and listening is the place where really help you know what is to be done in the speaking talk of it. I think last slide, and then obviously I can go back into questions so that I speak less after that. A lot of learning happens by curiosity, right? I think today both Professor Kidur as well as Director Sir was speaking about how they are looking at AI, and I think the whole industry is changing, right? Now at their level as well, they are thinking about learning something. That curiosity to know what is happening in the AI world. If you don't do, you will miss out on the race. So be very curious. Just simple things, right? I have a 8-year at home, and he keeps questioning me so tough questions. There's one way to just say that, hey, this is not there. You start reading your book, but respecting the curiosity is very important, because we stop being curious, right? But in today's world, anything which you want, right? Take an example, very simple questions. He asked me like, why is the road black in color? I don't know. I was never taught about it, right? Simple thing, why is the sky blue in color? Now, all of these in today's era also, if you are very curious and we are just able to open our AI or Google and just run about it, it's all about, you learn that. And I think some of these will keep helping you in the ways you are looking at your life. A lot of failure will happen, and I think that's something which you have to get used to. You have to really become the thick-skinned guy. And the thick-skinned guy who is also getting up with the same passion every morning, saying, okay, I have the fire to make it happen next day. And then last, I think the only thing, while we changed our business model 6 times, was I was very clear in my head, which I learned in my Wipro days, there's nothing called as degrowth in the company. So even if you change the pivot, you still have to grow a bigger revenue. And that is the DNA of the company, that you cannot just have anything which is degrowth, because nobody loves degrowth in life. And that mindset is the basic life in anything, right? Anybody wants to do that. Great, I am good with points which I wanted to capture, but trust me, the whole journey of entrepreneurship or leaderships, I think, culminate into same things. And it's not always that entrepreneurship is the best path or leadership is a different path. There are a lot of great guys around in the industry who are doing extremely well. A lot of my peers doing extremely well, who have taken corporate jobs as a role. And I think they're doing well, right? So the only thing which has been there is those building blocks have remained same. And I don't think that everybody should just do entrepreneurship because of the heck of it or because it's super cool to do. People can do great things and become great leaders also by being in an organization and doing the right things over there. And that's something which is equally exciting, equally valuable, creates enough value. And entrepreneurship is a different thing, but over here, don't go for the fashion of it or the passion or just because I think it's a cool thing to do. But if you're passionate, try that route. It's also very equally exciting. With that, I think I'm done with it, but happy to take any questions and share anything which might be of help for you guys. Yeah, thank you.
So we'll now open the floor for a brief interactive Q&A. If you have any questions, please raise your hand.
Good evening, sir. Sir, could you please share what were the initial strategies you used while setting up XOXODAY?
Honestly, I think that's what I was saying, that these whole words of strategy, etc., I think I learned like 3 years, 4 years down the in my career as well. I think the basic thing which I started with, the idea was that there are 2-3 hypotheses which I had in my head. One, everything which is happening in the US will happen in India. So there's Amazon, there's a Flipkart. And then we saw a company which was called as Karma in the US, which was doing group gifting. We said that nobody else is doing in India, so let me copy that. We just copied that, and then we said that, okay, fine, we'll do that in India. Failed miserably because people don't have a habit of gift registry in India. People don't do group gifting online. It's more about pulling money here and there. But that brought us to a place which was more about gifting. From there, we kind of kept pivoting towards experience gifting, to a corporate gifting, to a rewards, to a incentives, to a loyalty. What we identified is that we'll stick to the same thing because people know you for a specific thing. And that's something, so from a strategy standpoint, we said that we'll stick to the same thing. And then we said that is the market size big enough for us to build a big enterprise? And then we found that the market size is big enough. It has the nuances for us to keep growing. We can build pillars to it, and then we kept building on it. So hypothesis testing when we started, and then kept going deep into it to find out what we can do in this segment.
Thank you, sir.
Any more questions? Please raise your hand. Mic will be brought to you.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon. So, sir, whenever you are growing up or scaling in size, you are moving from a founder-led company to a professionally run company, right? So, I mean, when the new set of people are coming in and they are joining in, how do you ensure that the quality is maintained? Because the people that you are coming new to the organization, they are not as passionate or as driven as you are.
No, very, very good question, and I think really appreciate it because failed multiple times on that. And still fail, right? Because what happens is the company keeps growing, and a lot of times the company outgrows the people you have. But you also want to be respectful that these guys were the guys who helped you in the initial days, so you don't want to fire them. Now that is a very tough one, right? But what you have to start always believing is the company is beyond people. You cannot be just emotional attached to it. So what we did is obviously we retained the people who were evolving along. We helped them groom along. We hired from external world. But once what we did was we changed the entire mid-management with external hires. That time it bombarded because they were not used to the culture of the company. What we identified is a mix of homegrown and external is the right mix because then you really find an equilibrium, that balancing stuff. And that's how we do. So every time we look at hiring that is this guy good enough for us to be in the company for the next 3 years? Because the next 3 years the company might be double the revenue of what we are. So it's a tough one for sure.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, sir. As the newer generation is entering the workforce, what are the changes that you have noticed in the type of rewards that motivate the newer generation, and how is XOXODAY adapting to that?
It's like a proper customer question. I'll answer if you buy my solution. But I think the new generation is a lot more about instant, immediate, experiential. I want to happen it right now, right? So a lot of what we built as a business is all about that also, right? So what it means is that they want something which they can get a reward consumption immediately. So a lot of digital rewards is what we really built up on. A lot of experiential saying people now, I think these generations are the ones who want to say that I want to really fly a plane, do something which is really exciting, do this, etc. So a lot of experiences are the ones which are coming in. And then obviously there's a set of people who are also saying that I want to really contribute to society. A lot of NGO-led stuff are also happening. So obviously there's a lot to do with customer feedback which we keep looking at and then keep evolving and building our business around it.
So you spoke about being truthful to your employees, right? During COVID time, you said you are going to delay the payments, and people, your employees took it in a positive way. But you as a leader, you know that there are some things which need to be hidden, or there are some things which are needed to be presented very well.
Yeah.
So I just want to know what are the things, which should be hidden, and how do you decide what should be hidden?
I think I realized that the next generation is smarter. So the way, I think and that's what my wife also teaches me regularly, saying that you have to also be diplomat at times. I'll try to do that. But the way we look at it is there's stuff which is really very, very clear. There's some stuff which are beyond your control. So what could be those, right? Those could be something which is macro. There would be something which is related to board matters. There would be something which is related to something which is still uncertain, right? Stuff which are macro, I think you can speak out clearly about it. That if this happens, this will happen. If this doesn't happen, this will happen. Board matters, it's always said that I think we want to do this, but finally it goes back to the board to decide. That's how we communicate it to them. The last one which I mentioned, which is to do with external, etc. Over there, what we try to do is that we generally try to say that we want to take some time on it. So I think time is something which we buy in those cases. Today also, as I speak, I think there's quite a few things which I still need to answer, right? I had my town hall which was moved by like 3 weeks because I don't have answer, right? So because I know that there are a lot of people whom you start hiring who are smarter than you, right? They know that they can just take out my balance sheet and understand what's happening there. They look at the numbers, etc. So the more you hire smarter people, they will start understanding. You issue an ESOP plan, they will ask you questions. And so you have to really tell them what you know about it. And what happens in that journey is that in some cases, people will look at your answers, but they finally also look at your eyes and say that, are you really trying to be right or not? I think be very, very true, in the heart and speak about it. There's some stuff which you will not be able to answer, but that only will impact 5% of people. I don't think it really impacts most of them.
Good evening, sir. In your talk, you had one line which I really stuck up to me, that you said the way that we look at failures is very different, and the current generation, how they look at failure is very different. But also that we are having different things at stake. Like you are currently a CEO, you are having different things at stake when it comes to failure. For me, it's different. So how do you cope up with that? Like if you fail at a certain point, how do you cope up with that, and how do you build a habit when it comes to these things?
Honestly, I don't have a clear answer for that because it's a lot to do with upbringing. It's a lot to do with the ecosystem which you are in, right? Let's say when I say about myself, I always believe that I was able to do entrepreneurship is because I come from a joint family. I had brothers who supported me saying, go for it, right? And that gave me that confidence, right? So, but that's for me. And then they also know that if I failed, I know that I have a TAPME title which will get me a job. I had so I think, but that I kind of built my insulation about, saying, okay, failure over, to kya hoga? And that is something which everybody will have, right? You might have something which would be very related to you, saying, if this doesn't work, what will you do? If it does, and that's one. And second, also have that, I think a lot to do, my sense is also with the close family with whom you are able to speak up. So communication, close family, speaking up, because finally, and I also had my times, right? So for the first 3-4 years, I was, people started avoiding me for their parties because I was not part of it. People said, "Ye to aayega, kya hi karega?" So, but those are failures. I used to fail that year. But then you say that, okay, fine, this is like a short term. A lot of training for yourself. I think a lot to do. I also feel that I was not a great sportsman. I think a lot of that happens in learning with sportsmanship. And the more you play sports, the more you fail over there, the more you kind of get back and say, okay, fine, I'll do it next time. So if you can build some of those sports habits, it is really helpful.
So good afternoon. I'm Harsh Memani, a first-year student pursuing MBA A&DS. So my question to you is about, you were speaking about your GST notices. Now, of course, you must have had a journey with a lot of ups and downs, some struggles, some growths, etc. Now, the government has their own way of how they send GST notices. You must be very highly profitable. Your accounting methods might have been different as to how the government accounts for it. And I mean, I have faced a similar situation where this GST notices, it created a lot of anxiety and, dealing with it. Just about your character and how you dealt with it, so like how it went through, how you sailed through, and if your employees at the company, if they knew about this notice, how did you deal with this situation at your workplace and in life? Like, it's a lot of character over here. If you could comment on that, sir.
Tough question, sir. So you've done some business for yourself or what?
Yeah, I mean, I was working with some project with my dad, and it was just happening.
So I think the part which you mentioned about office, I think for us, I was very open to say to office that this is what's happening, right? And this is what stand is. So I think to employees, it's very easy to speak about it because there's a reason what you're doing things, right? So first and foremost, I think in the head, we are not doing wrong things. So I think that has to be clear. It's not that I am kind of मैं चोरी कर रहा हूँ फिर भी मैं मतलब बोलूँ नहीं यार गलत हो रहा है. So I think if you are doing right things and you are understood and you have checked it by the rule book, then you have to obviously say that I'm doing the right things. Government might have a view on it, my view might be different, and then something is a place, right? Now you have to also understand that the functioning of the departments are let's work on grey and issue notices because they are kind of incentivized for it. Now that also brings a lot of headache. So I am saying in my case also it's a lot of headache. I used to kind of have sleepless nights on that and take a lot of opinion, be with the best people in the industry to understand what's the best way to do. And then after a period of time you become thick skin, right? So I said, okay, fine, you call this fine. But that's a part of doing business in India. And you have to just be true that you're doing the right things with some legitimate opinions, which could be from the big fours, and do the right way in the way that you are it. And second, after you do a certain level, you hire the best CFO who would take care of those headaches.
So, I mean, so it just appears to be a cycle how the government seems to be operating with the company, with the notices. You're profiting the way you explain the accounting methods to them, and then it makes sense. Got it. Thank you. Yeah.
Great. I think that is done. Thank you so much. Thank you all for engaging questions. As Mr. Sumit Khandelwal was telling us, some of them were tough questions. Anyway, special thanks to Mr. Sumit for his thoughtful and comprehensive responses. It was straight from the heart, all from your lived experiences.
Yeah.
Then I wanted to just summarize and pick few words of wisdom from all that you have spoken. So it started with like, why you are and what you are is not important. What customer perceive is important. Marketing is more of maths. It is good to be a smart worker, but it is important to be a hard worker. Yes. Lessons from the first in your life. They are very valuable every day. Find the right mentors. Values and skills are the building blocks. Team is all about building trust and be true to people. Yeah. That again depends on the context, again that was clarified. And respect curiosity. There is nothing called degrowth. And last but not least, being an HR faculty, this is my personal favorite. HR role is disliked by everyone, but HR roles are the most closest one roles to CEOs.
This is like This is like you put a prompt in the AI saying that 45-minute session in.
Sir, I didn't do that.
Yeah.
I myself was there. I didn't do that.
No, thank you so much for this.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Now to express, so I would like to invite Ms. Aditi because she wanted to give a thank you note to you on behalf of the students. Yeah.
On behalf of the TAPME community, we extend our sincere gratitude to Mr. Sumit Khandelwal, co-founder and CEO of XOXODAY, and our esteemed alumnus for joining us today for the CXO Connect session on From Founder to Leader. Your insights on entrepreneurship, leadership, and building impactful organizations were truly inspiring and gave us deep perspective on navigating challenges with wisdom and resilience. It was an honor to learn from you and your journey and experiences, sir. We would also like to thank respected Dean Academics, Dean Research, and Dean Admin, and our esteemed faculties and other area chairs for gracing the occasion and making this session even more special. We look forward to staying connected and drawing inspiration from our continued success. Thank you once again for taking the time to engage with us and for giving back to the TAPME community. Over to Arunima ma'am.
Thank you, Aditi. To express our gratitude, I would like to invite our deans, Professor Gurraj Kidur, Professor Durga Prasad sir, and Professor Raghunath Budhan sir, to present a memento to Mr. Sumit Khandelwal on behalf of TAPME. This is a small token of appreciation for his time and invaluable insights. So let us see. It should be opened.
Not a problem. Sir, please come. Yeah.
So thank you. As we bring this event to a close, I have the honor of delivering the vote of thanks on behalf of TAPME. First and foremost, a heartfelt thank you to our chief guest, Mr. Sumit Khandelwal, for his inspiring talk and for returning to his alma mater to share his journey. I also express sincere gratitude to the leadership of Manipal Academy of Higher Education, Mahe, Dr. Ramdas M. Pai, Chancellor, Dr. Ranjan Pai, President, Dr. H.S. Balal, Pro-Chancellor, Lieutenant General Dr. M.D. Venkatesh, Vice Chancellor, and the Governing Council members of Mahe for all their unwavering guidance and continued support. A special thanks to Professor Madhu Veera Raghavan, Pro-Vice Chancellor MLHS and Mahe Bangalore for his constant encouragement. We are also thankful to our Pro-Vice Chancellors of Mahe and to Dr. P. Giridhar Kini, Registrar, for their steady support. Our sincere appreciation goes to Professor Rajiv Kumra, Director of TAPME, for his constant guidance and leadership. I would also like to thank our deans, Professor Gurraj Kidur, Dean Academics, Professor Durga Prasad sir, Dean Administration, Professor Raghunath Budhan sir, Dean Research, for their support and presence here in this evening. A heartfelt thanks to all the faculty members who have taken their time to join and be part of this session. A heartfelt thanks to Director's Office, Corporate Engagement, Corporate Branding, Estates and Logistics, and all other teams who worked tirelessly to make this event a success. Special appreciation to members, student members of Corporate Engagement Team, SEC, Lime Literary and Media Committee, Alumni Relations Committee for their dedication and meticulous coordination. And finally, thank you to each one of you in the audience, students, faculty, guests, all for being a part of this evening, for carrying forward the spirit of learning and leadership. Let us take the inspiration from today's talk and continue to create impact wherever we go. Thank you. Have a wonderful evening.